Your team might not be the problem. You may have accidentally trained them to be that way. Let me explain. Most leaders I speak with are stuck in the same place. They want their team to step up and perform so that they can either step out of the business or go and do the things that only they can do as managers, as people leaders, and leave their team to take initiative and perform without them. But what happens is as soon as they leave, things start to slowly fall apart. And because of that, the team ends up being dependent on the leader. And then the leader starts to become the bottleneck, which is the problem. I remember speaking to a leader who was in this exact same situation. She was telling me about her frustrations with her team, particularly two members that sat next to her. And then she continued to explain. She was saying, look, Ozzy, I'm starting to get sick and tired of my team's behavior. I want them to perform. I want them to take initiative, grow, and be able to do things without me so that I can focus on only what I can do. But they're still dependent on me. What the heck do I do? So I continued speaking with her and I asked her, can you please explain a little bit more, give some context, a bit more detail? What does this look like on a daily basis? So she was like, well, look, Ozzy, what it normally looks like is they'll have a question. They come to me. I started out being more than happy to answer them, send them back on their way, because that means that I can carry on doing what only I can do. I can get back to my work. But over time, more and more questions get asked. And then as we know, as business owners, as leaders, we enter seasons during the year where it's crunch time. It's high performance is needed, speed is required, and there's just a swamp of work that needs to be done. So it ended up coming to one of these seasons where this leader had a lot on her plate, but she also had her team continue to ask her these questions. So what started out as happiness, eagerness to help, started to become resentment because she saw her team as the blocker from being able to do her work. And therein lies the problem with most leaders that I speak with, that I work with, that they want to be able to help their team, but they also want their team to be able to function without them. And if that doesn't happen, scale ends up being impacted, the business's growth and performance ends up taking a hit, and the leader feels like they're carrying the weight of everyone on their back. We don't want that to happen. Let me introduce you to what's called the decision cycle in terms of how we can actually start to break out of this cycle, of this hamster wheel, if you want to call it that, as leaders. What it starts out with is leaders like this leader in the example who are happy to help. They want the team to perform. They want them to be able to get results and they want to help. So they answer the questions. The team goes and does what they need to do until they encounter another problem. And then naturally they think, well, I got my answer from my leader last time. Let me go back and ask again. So they go and do that. They go and ask the leader gives an answer, they go back to doing what they're doing, and then naturally this cycle keeps continuing until the leader gets to breaking point. Let's be honest. They're frustrated with their team. They start to build up resentment. If only these people can just function without me. They start to get annoyed and frustrated. And then that's when we start to have people resenting being in leadership roles and start having people problems. When in fact, it's not a people problem. What's happening is a leadership design problem. I liken this to if you've ever gone to a national park. Let's use that example. I remember I went to a national park a few years ago, and every national park I've been to since has the same characteristics. You always see the same signs. Don't feed the wildlife. And I always used to wonder, why is that? Until I started asking around and talking with some friends who were with me at the time, and they were saying, hey, look, if you feed the wildlife, they start to become dependent on you and they stop hunting and looking to feed themselves. Listening to this leader, I started to see a bit of a parallel. How many times as leaders do we see that play out? We want to help our team. So in order to help them, we think that giving them the answer so that they can get back to doing what they were doing is the natural thing to do. When in fact, what we're actually doing is we're creating trained dependency. We're training our team to come back to us and ask us the questions so that they get fed, so they can go back and do what they need to do. What we need to start doing now, instead of giving them the answer, we need to start training our team members to start to think for themselves. Because we know that when we give them the answer, we essentially become an answer machine. Each time they have a problem, insert coin, answer comes out, and I can go back and do my thing. When as a leader, you're not really functioning as a leader anymore. You're more as a coin machine that they can get that answer out of and then just keep on going. And then your impact is capped. What we want to start doing, the solution to this is, as a leader, instead of giving the answer, you want to start transferring your process of thinking. So it's not telling them what to do, but really telling them the process of your thinking so that they can start to learn for themselves how to solve those problems. So that when they encounter those problems, they know what they need to do and they can think through the process required in order to solve that problem required. With that, we'll recap. If you're a leader who feels like you're the bottleneck, you need to check yourself. What are you doing to train your team to be dependent on you? Are you giving them the answer? Are you being that answer machine? Are you feeding them when they could be hunting for themselves? If you are, what you want to start doing is you want to start transferring your process of thinking instead of giving the answer to the question, to the problem. That's how you get rid of the problem of train dependency. The cost of not doing this is capped growth. You impact the ability that you have to scale, and you actually lose out on potential growth because everything is capped at you. Your team doesn't grow, and you just live in that self-fulfilling cycle where you're the answer machine, you're the answer and the savior to everything, and your team doesn't end up growing. So, if you find yourself in this spot, make sure to drop a follow because we're going to be putting out more videos around these areas, and we want you to be able to grow. So, this has been Ozzy from the Leadership Gap. We'll see you on the next video.